Hi, kids. Okay, so this is the second to last film I'm going to talk about in the series, and it is Patton. Patton is very different than the films we have talked about so far. Um, so let's get into it. Originally released February 5th, 1970, so we're well removed from the war now. We can kind of say America, rah, rah, right? So, Patton is about U.S. General George S. Patton. Um, George S. Patton was a man who was born in 1885, so some of his views and opinions on things are a little dated, even dated by the time this movie comes out, but progress is a slow process. Patton, the movie opens with him standing in front of the American flag, giving one of his speeches. Uh, he was good at rallying his troops, used a lot of profanity. That is Patton. Patton is portrayed by George C. Scott. Um, the screenplay is based on a biography and a memoir. The writers of the screenplay are Edmund H. North, who also wrote The Day the Earth Stood Still, and for a time was one of the heads at the Writers Guild. So that's him. The other writer is a guy who wrote and directed a film that I've talked about 2 videos ago. It is Francis Ford Coppola. Um, wrote the screenplay. After this, he goes on and makes The Godfather, Horsehead in the Bed. All right. So, um, Patton, general. He led Battle of Normandy and Battle of the Bulge. Battle of the Bulge is not a creative porn title. Battle of the Bulge was sort of the last German offensive on the Western Front, the end of the war. Battle of the Bulge. Um, the poster for Patton, if I don't have to describe the movie, I can just tell you what the poster says, right? So it says, the epic American war movie that Hollywood has always wanted to make, but never had the guts to before. That's what this movie is. Like I said, very different, very rah rah, right? I should have an American flag behind me. Different kind of movie, and worked for the times. Nominated, of course, for 10 Academy Awards, had about a $12 million budget, makes $45 million at the box office, wins 7 Academy Awards. Um, I believe, as I've said before, it wins Best Picture and Best Director. The director on this one is Franklin S. Schaffner, and he also directed a film called Planet of the Apes. It all fits together, you guys. It all fits together. It's also notable for there's usually around this time now we start campaigns, right? We're used to it now. Campaigns for the Academy Awards. The actors go around and they schmooze and they talk and all that stuff. Um, George C. Scott, not a fan of that. He had been not a fan of that on previous films and had said, not a fan of that, don't nominate me. The Academy nominates him and he wins Best Actor, and he is not there and refuses to accept the award. Something that maybe is just happens when Francis Ford Coppola has something to do with the movie, because something like that with The Godfather, isn't there? Hmm. Anyways, so that was notable. AFI list. This is name number 89, I think, on the second list and it's not on the first. I could have those backwards. I'm not positive, but one of them thought of it good enough to make the list. The other one it wasn't. But Patton, the character, he was named. They have their list of the 50 greatest heroes and 50 greatest villains. He was named as the 29th greatest hero. So led them through the war, won some battles. If you look into Patton himself, maybe not the best guy, but that's not what they're grading, right? It's the movie, not the person. It's also notable because the film was released February 1970. It premiered on television in November of 1972. At the time, this era, in the 70s, it was usually about 5 years before any film was aired on TV, and the television could get the rights or that would air it. Unless it's public domain, looking at you, Night of the Living Dead. It was also notable because, as I mentioned, Patton uses a lot of profanity, and most of that in the airing was untouched. So, US was very proud of their Patton and their Patton movie. And it was the fourth highest rated TV premiere of a film up to that point. So, lots of eyes watching those cusses. Also notable because the story is that Nixon watched Patton twice. I'm not sure if that's in a row, but he watched Patton twice before he decided to invade Cambodia. The war in Vietnam, he did that, had disastrous results. If you don't know what happened in Vietnam, go look it up. Also, after that decision was made, there was protests all over campuses in Ohio. National Guard brought in, 4 students dead. There's this guy named Neil Young might have wrote a song about it. Yeah, so that's it for Patton. One more film left on this list. Very different tone and an aspect of the war that we haven't discussed yet. Maybe because people were afraid to tackle it. That'll be the next one. That'll be the last one in war. Thanks, guys. Thumbs up. Subscribe. Thanks.